let's go on to the next thing here and just like get into the NBA a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of like in that postseason push. We're like what? Like basically a month away from the NBA playoffs. Not a lot of games left to determine seeding. I would kind of have to imagine it's pretty much going to stack up just as it is now. But like, I mean, we can start with the East. What do you guys think? I mean, is Boston, they got the number 1 seed locked up here, or are they?
Yeah.
Or do you think maybe somebody could come in and knock them out?
I think Boston's got that 1 seed locked up, and I'm pretty bullish on them making it to the finals at least too. I just think they're the best team in the East by a wide margin. And in terms of
I'm
closing
sorry,
that
I made
gap,
a mistake. I just pulled up the standings. Milwaukee's actually the 1 seed right
they
now.
are.
Boston's a half game back. Yeah.
Well, I'll say
Milwaukee's
Boston takes
45
over.
and 17. Boston is 45-18.
I'll say Boston takes over and is the 1 seed by the end of that. And in the East, it really doesn't matter that much either if you're the 1 or the 2. Well, actually, that's a lie because you got the Eastern Conference Finals who gets home court. But I think Boston will end with the 1 seed. I think they make up that short gap, and I think they probably make it to the finals too. I think that's the best team in the East by a pretty wide margin.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say pretty wide margin because my Sixers are in the East, but I mean, I was actually at the game on Saturday. Embiid's shot should have counted. I don't care what you say. It was in. If you have a center making 75, 75% court shots, no matter whether there's time on the clock or not, I feel like you have to count it.
Yeah, let's bend those rules a little bit. It'll be all right.
I'm just saying.
Paul George got one the next night too. Back-to-back nights that we had the 3 quarters not count.
Like I'm just saying, like, can I just say, like, Embiid is truly a unicorn. Like, there's not other centers making 75% court shots. Maybe Jokic should make one. Maybe Jokic, but I don't know. But I mean, I would say this. Like, I think Boston probably is on paper the best team.
Mm-hmm.
In the East. I know Milwaukee, people may be kind of like looking at them, that they've won a finals before. Even though I honestly think the year that they won it, the Sixers were just a better team. They just had Ben Simmons holding them back. But I mean, really, I just think that, and the reason why I brought up the game on Saturday is because I feel like as close of a game that was with, the Sixers bench, Tyrese Maxey mainly, just very much so underperforming, and it being as close of a game as it was, I feel like the Sixers could, they have a shot in a 7-game series if it comes down to them in Boston. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think they have a shot too. I like the Cavs too. I think most of those teams sitting at 3 and 4 can cause problems for Boston and Milwaukee. But like, I'd probably lean with you too, where if I got to pick one, I'm picking the Sixers probably, just because Embiid, like you said, is a unicorn. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think Jokic is better. I'll say that. I don't want to pretend like I'm out here playing both sides of that argument. But regardless, I really like Embiid. I think he's a great player. And then if we can get guys like Maxey getting hot, I mean, the Sixers have a lot of potential. So I do think that's a good team, and they can definitely cause problems over 7 games. Like, I won't ignore that. Like, I wouldn't pick the Sixers, but I think it'd be dumb to say that they can't cause problems.
That's fair. I mean, other teams here, I don't see the Knicks really having a shot. Much improved the Knicks, but I don't, I feel like the Knicks ceiling is basically just making it to the first round. The Nets, I mean, honestly, with everything that's going on with them right now, they still have KD. I could see them falling out of the playoffs entirely. I don't know if you feel the same way. I mean, that whole Ben Simmons drama.
Yeah.
I feel so much vindication with him just being terrible for the Nets right now. Like, and I was the biggest Ben Simmons defender too. Like, I would have fought to the death for that dude until he started like trash talking the fans. So, I'm glad to see he's getting what he's got coming to him. I don't know. I mean, the Hawks, they've had some that just Trae Young magic just in the playoffs. Is there any chance you guys you think maybe they can pull something out, just get hot like they did, play get lucky on who they play. Where like a couple years ago they played the Sixers, and the Sixers, they just didn't want it as much as the Hawks did. Any chance that they could make a push?
I think if I had to pick one of those teams, I'm probably taking the Knicks, like out of the best chance to win a first round game. Probably taking the Knicks just because Brunson's been playing really well. Josh Hart's really helped them on the perimeter too. So that's probably the team I go to go out there and get one. But I think the point of Trae Young getting hot is that's always going to be present when you've got a guy like Trae Young. So I guess you can't really ignore the Hawks just because they can get hot. But I think it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4 all get out of the first round. And I don't really see anything outside of that happening. Like, as much as that sounds, boring or crappy to say, it's like, but I'm not really convinced that any team outside of that top 4 is that great or even close to those top 4 teams.
Okay. Yeah, and I think we can kind of move on to the Western Conference. And I mean, it feels like, I mean, obviously, like they're the best team right now in the West, and it's easy to go and just say, oh, this team is they're the number 1 seed right now. They should win it all. But I mean, just watching, those teams play, it does feel like, the Nuggets definitely, like, you got to just imagine they're going to blow through everybody and they're going to be in the finals.
I don't know. That West is tough. I don't know that I'm ready to say that they can just blow through things, because I like that team too. Like, I like Murray. I like Porter as like 2 and 3s on that team. But there's a lot of good teams in the West, like, that can match up with them. I've been high on the Clippers just because I like Kawhi. I think Kawhi is great. That team has not played as well since they got Russ, though. That's a big issue. You can't really count out the Suns, not that they have KD, but like, I don't know that I'm as bullish on the Nuggets being the 1 seed to get out or make it to the finals. That is.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they definitely have what it takes. I feel like, I mean, like I think, who was it? I want to say it was Garrett pointed this out to me the other day, that apparently they have like 20 plus wins by double digits.
That's impressive.
So I mean, they do have the MVP candidate. I mean, probably going to end up winning another one, despite all of my protests. He's probably going to end up winning another one. I don't know. I just think it's going to be their show. I think it's more than anything, it's their finals to lose more than anything, like, or it's their playoff race to lose more than it's somebody else's to win. I
think that switch of Bones Highland going out and Reggie Jackson coming in, I think that's going to hurt them too in the playoffs too, in terms of like depth in a close series. You're bringing guys off the bench who need someone to step up. I trust Bones Highland to do that much more than Reggie Jackson, so that might be a move that comes down to haunt him too. Obviously, that might not be the end-all be-all, but it's like small things like that like make me less bullish on the Nuggets in comparison to like the Sixers out east. Like, I've got way more confidence in those guys coming off the bench the Celtics out east. I've got way more confidence in their bench in comparison to what the Nuggets have going on.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it's fair to say, because I mean, the West is a tough conference. I mean, the Warriors, obviously, like with Steph and Clay, if they're healthy, which is, I mean, it's hard for them to do because now they're getting older. Those guys are up there in years now, which it feels weird to say, because I mean, I remember Steph playing in the NCAA tournament, and now he's almost damn near. I don't know if I think he's over 30 actually. I was gonna say damn near 30, but I'm pretty sure he's over 30 now.
I think he's over too. Yeah.
Yeah. So. I mean, if those guys stay healthy, there's always a chance that, they get hot. They have the playoff experience. We also have, I mean, the Grizzlies. I talked to Jackson about this the other day on the Vendetta Daily Show. They're scrappy. I mean, they have a few losses recently that were close games, all like basically one possession games, basically. But I mean, they stay in it. They give you a fight. So, I mean, they can push anything to a 7-game series. So, yeah, maybe now that I think about it, saying that they're going to blow through the conference is maybe, a little far-fetched, but I still think they're heavily favored. Like, I would still heavily favor them over anybody else, just because, again, they've got Jokic. They're handily winning I mean, it's still the regular season, but they're still handily winning against teams. But I mean, it's hard for me to discount the Nuggets, even though I don't necessarily like Jokic. But I gotta respect him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I feel that. I feel that. And on that point of the Grizzlies, I'm interested to see what they look like in the playoffs because I feel like that's a young team where it's a matter of time before I feel like they can hit a corner. And like, at what point do the Grizzlies like win an extra series, maybe push it to the Western Conference Finals? I'm not sure that I'm willing to say they break into the finals this year, but like if they can beat like one established team or two established teams in the playoffs, their ceiling like in the future in the upcoming years could be pretty high. So I'm kind of interested to see how they do, like in terms of proving that they can win consistently in the playoffs. I think that's kind of an interesting thing to watch out for because there's no easy series in the West. So even they could come up with like the Clippers or the Mavs in the first round, and those are going to be tough series.
Yeah. I think now that you mentioned the Mavs too, like they're an interesting team from like the standpoint that I mean, obviously they have like two awesomely talented players in Kyrie and Luka, but I think it was the funniest thing, like and this next month is going to be like big for them just to get chemistry and get used to playing with each other, because so far they played I think it's like 5 games with each other and they're 1-4 when they're on the court at the same time. They're barely above 500. So it's like you got these two guys, and and that's another thing. Like the NBA, a lot of the times, it's if you can bring the best talent together, especially now where like it's such like an offensively driven league. If you can bring the best talent together 9 times out of 10, like you'll have a lot of success playing ISO ball. But you have these two guys, and for whatever reason, right now it's just not working, and it just happens. It seems like it's just because they're not used to playing with each other. So who knows, like if they get in rhythm, like how much they could explode in the playoffs. Because think about it, when Golden State got KD, like the first half of the season, like I don't want to say they were trash, but like it was a disappointment that first half of the season. But then they went on and they won the finals, by the end of the season. So.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because for them, I almost wouldn't be worried at all about seeding. I'd be more worried about like when the first game of the playoffs starts, are we ready to go? Because if they are, I don't even think seeding matters nearly as much. I think you can say the same thing about the Suns too, where how are they going to fit KD in? Like I think his first game was yesterday. I wasn't able to watch that game, to be honest with you. But like if they can work KD in there, that's going to be a really good team. But if you struggle to find the rhythm, if you struggle to find out who's shooting the ball between KD and Devin Booker, like you might have some issues. You might run into some issues.
Yeah. I mean, and I think I agree with you. Like I wouldn't worry about the seeding, but obviously you have to worry about getting wins because the Mavericks are 1 game over 500. They could easily get replaced by the Jazz, who, I mean, even speaking about the Jazz, they're in like 9th place right now, right? Or 9th or 10th. I don't know. But at the same time, it's like, obviously the trade that they made for Rudy Gobert is not working out like they expected it to. But I mean, hey, they're almost a playoff team. I guess that's a consolation prize if you're in Utah.
It's crazy how they went from Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes to playoff contention. Like whether they make it or not, like they were not supposed to win more than 20 games. Like that in itself, I think is impressive to show what they've done so far.
Yeah. So like I think I was wrong at first. I think you are right. I think it's much closer than I was thinking at first. But yeah, like I said, I feel like it's still I still feel like it's the Nuggets playoffs to lose than it, not that nobody else has a chance.
Yeah, I agree with that. If I had to pick a team right now, I'd probably pick the Nuggets. But like, if they don't make it out, I'm not going to be overly surprised. Like, I'm not going to be shocked if they get bounced early or like bounced in the conference finals.
Yeah. I don't know. You got any follow up thoughts? Anything else you want to say about the playoffs?
NBA stuff. Not really. I will say I really hope my Pistons can tank for Wembanyama. Just as a homer, that Pistons team is going to be nice if they can get him. That's my last thought on NBA. Pistons have been able to lose 2 games in a row that they probably shouldn't have lost. So puts him in a
Yeah.
good spot to get Victor.
See,
But
I mean,
that's the last thing I have.
The problem too with Detroit is like, and like no shade for your hometown team, but like you guys, like you got to get the draft picks in, like you got to get the young players that people want to be like, oh, I want to go play with that guy, because like you're not like nobody's like, oh, let me fucking sign up to go live in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's
I think Cade can be that guy, but he hasn't played it all, so nobody knows that, right? No
yeah,
players like let me go play with a guy who's got 1 year experience. Like he's got to show that at the end of the day. Same with like Ivy, I think can be good, but like still got a ways to go.
yeah.
That's the way to describe the Pistons. Like I think there's something here, but it's
Yeah.
you got some more to do.
And unfortunately, it's you can't really say, oh, I want to go play because I love the passion of the fans, because you know you might catch a couple upper hooks like from the fans if you even if you are on the team. You can be the star player on the team and still catching left hooks coming off the bench.
You got to worry about water bottles and stuff coming down at you.
Yeah. Well, I'm one to talk. People talk about Philly fans, so I don't know. We have a bad reputation too.
I will say there's stuff that Philly fans do that gets thrown out there and put on Twitter, and it's like, look what these Philly fans did, and I'm like, all right, that's a little crazy, but I bet you could go to a mob in another city and find someone doing similar stuff. Just because they're wearing an Eagles jersey, it's like, oh my God, look at this. Can you believe what a Philly fan did? It's like Florida man kind of, where news will come out. It's like Florida man did this, and I'm like, people do that stuff in California too. Like, come on.
Yeah, there's weird people all over. I feel you.
Yeah.